The bus rolled through the gates just after dawn, tires crunching over gravel that had been worn flat by decades of boots and authority. The base looked like every military installation she'd seen in recruitment videos: low concrete buildings, square, doff barracks, flags snapping hard in the wind, but something in the air felt sharper, less welcoming. Like the ground itself was waiting to test her. She stepped off the bus last, not because she was slow, because she was watching. The other recruits poured out in a rush of nervous energy, adjusting straps, cracking forced jokes, sizing each other up. Most of them were men, broad shoulders, shaved heads, loud voices that tried too hard to sound confident. A few glanced at her, then looked away. Others didn't bother hiding it. She stood there in stander, tissue green, duffel slung over one shoulder, boots planted evenly. Her posture was relaxed, almost casual, but not sloppy. Anyone who knew what to look for would have noticed the balance, the way her eyes moved, not darting, just collecting information, but no one here was looking for that. "Hey," one of the recruits muttered to another, not even trying to whisper. Didn't know this was co-ed daycare. They laughed. She didn't react. A whistle cut through the air, sharp and practiced. A drill instructor strode toward them like a storm given legs, campaign hat low, jaw clenched. He stopped in front of the group, eyes sweeping across the line, then stopping on her, just for a beat longer than necessary. "Well, I'll be damned," he said, voice loud enough to carry. "Guess the rumors are true. They really are letting anyone try now." A few snickers rippled through the formation. He stepped closer, circling her slowly, like a predator deciding whether the prey was worth the effort. "You lost, sweetheart?" he asked. "Medicals that way? Or did you mean to sign up for the knitting club?" More laughter. Louder this time, she met his eyes, calm, unflinching. "No, sir," she said evenly. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." That earned her a raised eyebrow and something darker behind it. "Oh, we'll see about that," he replied. "Name?" She gave it, clear, precise, no hesitation. He repeated it slowly, tasting it, then smirked. "All right, new girl, you're gonna find out real fast how things work around here." The rest of the morning was a blur of shouting, forms, and movement. The recruits were marched from station to station, stripped of individuality piece by piece. Haircuts, gear issue, rules barked out like threats. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't think, obey. She followed every instruction perfectly. That bothered them. By midday, the tone had shifted. The instructors started using her as an example, not for excellence, but for ridicule. "Move it. You trying to set a record for slowest female on base. Careful, boys. Don't hurt her feelings. Bet she won't last the week." Each comment drew laughs. Each laugh reinforced the idea that she didn't belong. She didn't correct them. She didn't defend herself. She watched. During a water break, two recruits nearby leaned in close, speaking just loud enough. "Why's she even here?" one said. "Quota, probably." The other replied, "They need a story." She took a sip from her canteen, eyes forward. Across the field, a small group of instructors stood under the shade of a massive oak tree. The tree was old, thick-limbed, its branches stretching wide like it had seen everything this base could throw at it. One of the instructors glanced from the tree to her, then said something that made the others grin. That grin made her look twice. When the break ended, the drill instructor from earlier called her out of formation. New girl, front and center. She stepped forward, boots striking the ground in measured rhythm. "Yes, sir." He leaned in, voice low now. "Dangerous. You think staying quiet makes you strong?" He asked. "You think playing calm saves you?" She said nothing. He straightened, raised his voice so everyone could hear. "Let's see how tough you really are." The recruits were ordered to fall in and follow. Confusion buzzed through the group as they were marched toward the oak tree. She felt it then, not fear, not doubt, but confirmation. This was the moment, not because she was about to break, but because they were about to make a mistake they couldn't take back. She lifted her chin slightly, eyes on the tree ahead, expression unreadable. And for the first time since stepping off the bus, the wind shifted, carrying with it the quiet promise of consequences. They stopped beneath the oak. Up close, the tree felt even larger, its trunk scarred with age, branches thick and unyielding, stretching outward like arms that had held secrets for decades. The shade beneath it was cool, but the atmosphere wasn't. It pressed down on the recruits, heavy with anticipation and something uglier. The drill instructor turned, eyes gleaming. "You see this tree?" he barked. "This thing's been here longer than any of you. It's watched quitters cry, watched tough guys fold. Today, it's gonna watch something special." He looked straight at her, a lesson. A murmur rippled through the formation. Some recruits shifted uncomfortably. Others leaned forward, curious, hungry for spectacle. She stood still. "Yes, sir," she said. That calmness, steady, almost respectful, only seemed to irritate him more. "Hands," he ordered. Before she could move, two junior instructors stepped in, rough but efficient, gripping her arms. There was no panic in her body language, no resistance. That, more than anything, unsettled a few of the onlookers. A rope was produced, thick, worn, not ceremonial, practical. One of the recruits swallowed hard, another whispered, "Is this allowed?" No one answered. The drill instructor raised a hand, and the murmuring died instantly. "We're not hurting anyone," he announced loudly, as if daring someone to challenge him. "We're building mental toughness. If she can't handle a little discomfort, she doesn't belong here." He leaned close to her ear. "You still got a chance to walk away," he said quietly. "Say the word." She met his gaze. "Proceed, sir." That did it. The rope was looped, secured high on the branch with practiced ease. The instructors worked quickly, efficiently, too efficiently, like this wasn't the first time someone had been made an example of. When her feet left the ground, a collective breath was sucked in. She hung their arms bound, body suspended just enough that her boots barely brushed the air. It was uncomfortable, painful, designed to humiliate without leaving marks. The drill instructor stepped back, hands on his hips, surveying his work. "Look at that," he said, still quiet. A few laughs broke out. Nervous ones, forced ones. Minutes passed. The sun climbed higher, heat settling in. Sweat rolled down faces, hers included, but her expression didn't change, jaw tight, eyes forward, breathing controlled. Someone in the back stopped smiling. The instructor paced. "Come on." He called up to her. "This is where you beg. This is where you admit you don't belong." She said nothing. He tilted his head. "What's wrong?" Too proud to cry, still nothing. The silence began to stretch, uncomfortable now, the kind that makes people aware of their own breathing, their own conscience. One recruit glanced at another. "She's not even shaking." "Yeah," the other replied quietly. "That's not normal." The drill instructor noticed the shift. His jaw tightened. "Hey," he snapped at the formation. "You think this is a movie?" Eyes forward. He turned back to her, voice sharp. "You like this?" he demanded. "You think this makes you special?" For the first time she spoke. "No, sir." The sound of her voice, clear, steady, hit harder than shouting ever could. "It's just information." The instructor blinked. "What did you say?" She lifted her eyes to him. "This," she said calmly, "is just information." A ripple of unease ran through the crowd. He laughed, but it was thin. "You hearing this? She's playing philosopher now." He stepped closer, pointing up at her. "Let me make this simple. We're daring you. Break, scream, quit, prove everyone right." He paused, lowering his voice. "Go on, try something." The words hung in the air. Something changed then, not visibly, not dramatically, but enough that a few seasoned soldiers felt it in their gut. The atmosphere shifted from mockery to something sharper, dangerous. She inhaled slowly, exhaled. "No, sir," she said softly, "I don't need to." The instructor straightened, irritation flashing across his face. He turned to the others. "Looks like we've got ourselves a statue," he announced. "Let's see how long she lasts." He waved his hand dismissively and began to walk away. Behind him, suspended beneath the oak, her eyes tracked the movement, not of the instructor, but of the entire field. The vehicles, the buildings, the people watching from farther away now. She wasn't enduring, she was measuring, and while the base believed this was a punishment, she knew it was something else entirely. A test. Time stopped behaving normally. Minutes stretched, thinned, then folded in on themselves beneath the oak. The laughter that had once crackled through the formation had died completely, replaced by an uneasy quiet broken only by the wind moving through leaves and the distant rumble of vehicles on the far end of the base. She still hung there, arms numb now, shoulders burning. Pain had settled in deep, the kind that doesn't scream but whispers constantly, testing discipline more than strength. Her boots swayed slightly, toes no longer brushing the air. Sweat traced slow lines down her temples, catching in the dust on her skin. Still, no panic. The drill instructor noticed it too. He had expected tears by now, or anger, or at least shaking. Something that would confirm his authority, justify the spectacle. Instead, what he saw unsettled him. Control, measured breathing, eyes that never wandered, never pleaded. That wasn't defiance, that was patience. He stepped back into her line of sight, hands clasped behind his back. The recruits stiffened, sensing another escalation. "You know," he said conversationally, "I've seen tougher people than you break faster." She looked down at him, blinking once. "I don't doubt that, sir." Her voice carried, calm, almost respectful, but there was something under it now. Not arrogance, certainty. A few recruits exchanged glances. The instructor frowned. "You think you're special?" "No, sir," she replied. "I think you're underestimating variables." That did it. His jaw tightened. "Variables, yes, sir." He stepped closer, lowering his voice so only those nearest could hear. "Careful, you're already on thin ice." She met his eyes up close. He could see it now. Not fear, not defiance, but calculation. Like she was watching a process unfold, not suffering through it. "You're assuming this ends the way you want it to," she continued evenly. "That's usually where things go wrong." A ripple of discomfort spread through the group. Someone shifted their stance. Someone else swallowed. The instructor straightened abruptly, turning back to the formation. "You hear that?" he barked. "She thinks she's smarter than the system." No one laughed this time. He gestured sharply. "You record this." A junior instructor hesitated, then pulled out a device. That hesitation did not go unnoticed. From the far side of the field, a pair of senior NCO had stopped walking. One shaded his eyes, staring toward the tree. "What's going on over there?" one asked. "Looks like discipline." The other replied slowly, "But I don't know. Something feels off." Back beneath the oak, the drill instructor folded his arms. "Last chance," he called up to her. "Say you're done. Say you quit." She took a slow breath. "I won't be quitting, sir." The simplicity of it. No challenge, no drummel, and it heavier than any shout. He scoffed. "Then hang." He turned away again, but this time something followed him. Silence, not the obedient silence of fear, but the charged quiet that comes before consequences. The recruits were no longer watching her. They were watching him. A bead of sweat rolled down the instructor's neck. He felt it and hated that he noticed. He hated that he felt watched, not by her, but by the base itself, windows, vehicles, people who weren't supposed to be paying attention. He stopped, turned back sharply. "What?" he snapped. She lifted her chin slightly, as much as the rope allowed. "Sir," she said, voice still steady, "you might want to check who authorized this." The words hit like a dropped weapon. "What did you say?" She didn't repeat herself immediately. Instead, she shifted her gaze, not to him, but past him, toward the administrative buildings, toward the road leading in from the command side of the base. A few recruits followed her line of sight without realizing it. The instructor laughed too loudly. "You threatening me now?" "No, sir," she replied. "I'm advising you." That was when one of the NCO from the distance started walking toward them, fast. Another followed. The instructor noticed the movement and stiffened. He glanced back at her, suspicion flickering behind his eyes. "You think you've got friends?" he asked. She shook her head slightly. "No, sir." "Then what?" Her eyes returned to his. "I have records." The wind shifted again, rustling the leaves overhead. The oak creaked softly, as if adjusting its grip on history. The instructor opened his mouth to respond, but stopped when a voice called out from behind him. "Sergeant, what exactly is happening here?" He turned. Two senior figures approached now, expressions unreadable, not angry, not calm, alert. The drill instructor straightened instinctively, mask snapping back into place. "Training exercise," he said quickly, "building resilience." One of the newcomers looked past him, to her, still suspended, still composed. He frowned. Whose idea was this? No one answered immediately. And in that pause, in that single, fragile moment, the balance of power shifted. She felt it. So did everyone else. Because this was no longer about endurance. It was about exposure, and it had only just begun.